Hey guys, welcome back to the magical world of bookwords. My name is Renuka and welcome back to yet another bookish video. I recently visited Lock the Box Book Fair hosted by Bookchor that is still going on at Ganesh Kala Krida Manch in Pune. So if you are in Pune, you must visit the book fair. Bookchor.com is an amazing website that sells second-hand books as well as new books with amazing quality and 100% originality. So I'll mention all the details of Bookchor in the description box, and you can get the details of the website as well as the book fair on their website and on their app. I purchased the largest box that is for 2999 rupees and I could fit in 33 books over there. Last year I had found a lot of books from my wish list in the collection in the book fair. This year it was not the case, but then I skimmed through the titles, I picked up some interesting titles, I went through the blurb, I went through the writing style, and I picked up the books that seemed interesting to me. Some of these books were on my wish list, I would be talking about them, but most of these books are Indian English books, and that has been my goal since a long time. Reading as many Indian English books as possible and promoting them as much as possible on my channel through BookTube as well as through Instagram, because I really want people to read more Indian English books, fabulous Indian English books. When I had put the story, I also got a DM from one of my subscribers, Neetu Nair, asking whether I'll be filming a book haul of this collection, and I was eager to do that. And such kind of DMs do give us a motivational boost that is quite needed. So thank you, Neetu, for messaging me. And here I am filming a book haul. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. Before I talk about the books, I would like to mention that the box that I got from Lock the Box Book Fair is still here, and the apple of my eye, my dear cat, when he spotted the empty box, he immediately occupied it. You have to look at it. And he's asleep. He doesn't even care. He doesn't care. He is asleep. Pillow. आवडला तुला बॉक्स? I'll first talk about the non-Indian books and the non-Indian authors. The first book on the list is Shehzadi Mircha by Flora Annie Steele. This is a collection of Punjabi short stories, and the author, though she was a British author, she lived in the rural Punjab for 22 years together, and then she has written this book. And speaking of the quality of the book is crazy good. It was still wrapped in plastic. I just took it off to show you what quality Bookchor delivers. I'm blown away by this quality. The MRP says rupees 350, and it's amazing, the page quality, the binding. There are illustrations in the book as well, and this book has been appreciated by none other than Ruskin Bond himself. He says, a taste of rural Punjab, perfectly captured in all its warmth, color and rich earthy wisdom. And from what the blurb says, there are going to be weird out of the box short stories in this book, and that is the kind of stuff I love. So I'm quite excited to read this, and stay tuned for the review. Next one is a Mills and Boon's book, His Lost and Found Bride by Scarlett Wilson. As far as I know, Mills and Boons is a company that was founded by two people. Their names were Mills and Boons, and the sole reason why I picked this book up is that I wanted to know what exactly Mills and Boons is. I have heard so many people talking about it. This is so popular. There are various authors that write books for this company, and all of them are love stories. Cliche, cheesy love stories, as far as I have heard. I don't know, I have heard. And this is a story of two people who have dated each other in the past, and now circumstances again, their work, their profession brings them together. And is it their second chance? That is the question. So I don't have a lot of things to say about this book now, but let's see. If I like this, then I would like to read Mills and Boons in the future. More books of Mills and Boons in the future. The next one is by Margaret Atwood, The Heart Goes Last. The basic reason why I picked this book up is that it is by Margaret Atwood, and I definitely wanted to read her work because I have heard so many good things about The Handmaid's Tale and its sequel, The Testaments, of course. The plot too seemed quite interesting, where a husband and a wife apply for a job for working at a dive bar, and they'll be living in their car. But once they get into it, they cannot get out of it by their own wish. I'm not able to get a hang of the genre as of now. I think I'll have to determine it by reading the book, but I think I'll be repeating this for every single book, that the quality is so good, the binding, the page quality, the paper is so well made. It figures that it is a second hand book. The pages are a bit yellow, but the quality is amazing. The next book is Life of Pi by Jan Martel. I had obviously heard about it. I know that there is a movie based upon this book, but I'm glad that I haven't watched it because I'll get to read the book now. And the plot seemed pretty interesting to me. After a shipwreck, a boy, a hyena, a female orangutan, a zebra, and a Bengal tiger survive on a lifeboat. I mean, what sort of combination is this? I'm pretty interested to know how these creatures, how these living organisms survive, what were their experiences, and I'm sure that this book is going to be very, very interesting. I think this is going to be my next read, and I'll definitely get back to you on this. The next book is Property by Valerie Martin. This is a story of a woman who is unhappily married to a rich owner of sugar plantations. She wants to get out of this marriage, whereas on the other hand, a slave girl who has been given as a wedding present to our protagonist is suffocating in that house. This story, as far as the blurb says, revolves around the slave rebellion, and this is something that I haven't read about before, so I'm quite excited to read this. The next book is again by Margaret Atwood, Surfacing. This is a story of a young woman who returns to her hometown with her lover and her two friends. The basic motive of this returning is to investigate about the disappearance of her father. But when she starts investigating this disappearance, she comes to know that more than about her father, it's about herself. It's about her childhood and her past. She gets submerged in her past memories, her childhood, and the wilderness of the island that is her hometown. So let's see. Again, this seems to be pretty different than whatever I have read till date, and I'm sure this is going to be quite an exciting read. The next book is by an author whose name is enough to attract my attention. Smoke and Mirrors by Neil Gaiman. Okay, I have listened to Coraline on Storytel, and it is one of my most favorite books now. Horrifying, weird, crazy stuff takes place in a weird, different world, but the world is so well made that you cannot help but be absorbed into that world. I did not even read the blurb when I picked this book up. I did skim through it later on, but I did not even read the blurb before picking this book up. I just saw Neil Gaiman's name and I picked it up. That's it. I have been wanting to read his work since a long time, since I have listened to Coraline, and I'm sure this is going to be a good, valuable addition to my bookshelf. Next book is Mother Tongue by Bill Bryson. I have heard quite a lot of. The next book is Mother Tongue by Bill Bryson. I have heard a lot about Bill Bryson's work. I have heard that his books are very well researched and very well written. So Bill Bryson, the name, was one of the reasons why I picked this book up. Secondly, I have completed my post-graduation in English literature. I am an English lecturer as well, and clearly I love English literature. I love the language as well. So I thought that it would be pretty interesting to know about the journey of English language through centuries, and that too when it is written by an author like Bill Bryson. It would be pretty interesting and definitely trustworthy. So that was the reason why I picked it. If you have been following my channel since quite some time, you must be knowing that me visiting a book fair or a bookstore or making a purchase and not buying children's classics is impossible. So I picked up some children's classics this time as well, and so now I would like to talk about them. The first book in the set of children's classics is The Twits by Roald Dahl. I have read this as a child. I had borrowed it from one of my cousins and I had really liked it. I don't remember the story as much and as clearly now, but I know that I had loved it. This is a story of Mr. and Mrs. Twit who live in the dirtiest situations possible. They hate cleanliness and they hate physical as well as mental cleanliness. They are as dirty on the inside as dirty they are on the outside. Their brains, their hearts, two are quite filthy, and this is about the stupid things that they do on a daily basis. This is quite a thin book, so I think I would complete this in a few hours. And if you have been following my channel for quite some time now, you know that I love Roald Dahl. The commentary that he makes through simple children's stories about the social situations and about the mindset that we have, about the things that we do, about the things that adults do, it's commendable. So I spot a Roald Dahl book anywhere and I'm the first one to purchase it. The next book on the list is The Magic Faraway Tree by N.L. Blyton. If you know me, you must be knowing that I am one of the biggest fans of N.L. Blyton's delightful writing. Very interesting, very simple, very straightforward, still light, and still you can derive a lot of things out of that. This is a story of three siblings who are transported to some other place with their family where they discover a magic tree, they climb it, and they enter a fantasy land. So this is clearly a children's fantasy novel. I think this is the first part. No, I don't think this is the first part. This is an entire series, and I'm sure I'm going to be loving it, and I'm going to buy the next parts pretty soon. The next book is Christmas Tales by N.L. Blyton. You can clearly see how fascinated I am by N.L. Blyton's writing and her work. First of all, I would like to appreciate the cover, if you can see it. I don't know if you can or you cannot, but it is such a delightful, colorful, beautiful cover. Coming back to the book, this is a collection of short stories that are centered around Christmas that N.L. Blyton had written. This is a compilation of the short stories, and I don't know why, but I know that I'm an Indian and I don't have anything to do with Christmas. I don't even celebrate it. But I don't know why I love reading literature that is centered around Christmas. I love the short stories, the novels, even the parts in the novels that I've written. If they are centered around Christmas, if there is a description of Christmas celebrations, I love reading about it. And that is the reason why I picked this book up, apart from the fact that it is written by N.L. Blyton. The next and the last book on the list of children's classic is The Wishing Chair Collection, again by N.L. Blyton, a hardback of fascinating quality. I have been wanting to read this since a long time. This is a series and this is a compilation of the first three books. Fortunately, these are the first three books, and I would especially like to appreciate the quality. I had found the complete Winnie the Pooh collection by A.A. Milne in the last book fair, and I was fascinated by the quality, and this has the same quality. The paper, the printing, the hardcover, everything is to die for. And clearly I'm very delighted to have this in my collection, and I'm sure I'm going to buy the rest of the parts in the series pretty soon. The next book is Love and Learning Under the Magnolia by Bulbul Sharma. This is the story of a protagonist who loses her husband, and her husband has left nothing but a lodge for his wife. She cannot maintain it, so she sells it away and moves in with her neighbor, who is an affectionate but a whimsical woman. The experiences that the protagonist has with the neighbor, along with the buyer of the lodge who comes to the lodge with his family, is what makes up this novel. This is what I know from the blog, but I remember that I had skimmed through the book in the book fair, and I was quite fascinated about the writing style of the book. So I'm sure that this is going to be a delightful experience. The next book is Lamplight, Paranormal Stories from the Hinterland by Kankana Basu. I hope I'm not butchering the name. This is a collection of 8 short stories, 8 paranormal short stories that revolve around the Chattopadhyay family. The weird incidents that take place in their ancient house, how the family copes up with them, and how the family bonds form the backdrop of the stories. That is the base of this short story collection. I love horror genre. I love reading weird stuff, and paranormal stories or paranormal novels are my most favorite go-to things. So I think that I'm going to love this short story collection. The next book is Pilgrimage by Ira Singh. This is a story of Leena, her life struggles and the life struggles of her father, the hardships that she is facing. But the novel takes us back in time to the past of Leena and tells us about the incidents that made her that gave her this life that she is living, and that gave her the hardships that she is facing. The blurb is quite complex, and I don't think that I would be able to say anything about the general overview of the novel without actually reading it. So I prefer not saying a lot about it now, and I would just read it and get back to you pretty soon. The next book is Black Friday by S. Hussain Zaidi. I have been wanting to read his work since a long time. There is another book called as The Mafia Queens of Mumbai that I came to know about when Gangubai Kathiawadi starring Alia Bhatt was released. And that is a book that is on my wish list since a long time. His books too are quite well researched, that's what I have heard. And this book is about the serial blast that took place in Bombay on 12th March 1993 that shook Mumbai to its core. Hussain Zaidi takes us to the heart of the conspiracy that actually took place before these bomb blasts, and this is his research work, the compilation of his research work about it. And I'm sure this is going to be quite dark, but I really want to read about it. The next book is Vanity Bag by Anis Salim. This is a story of Imran, who forms a gang with a few friends of his, and little is he aware that he will be wrongly accused of being a part of the conspiracy of the serial bomb blasts in November 2011. He is imprisoned for that, and this book revolves around it. And I think that this is quite a dark but quite a fascinating topic. That is the reason I picked this book up, and I'm sure it's going to be pretty interesting and pretty atmospheric at the same time. The next book is Will You Still Love Me by Ravinder Singh. I have read a book by Ravinder Singh quite a lot of years ago. I think like it happened yesterday. That was the book that I had read. But I have read quite some things about Ravinder Singh's writing. Some people think that he's amazing, some people think that the work is ordinary, but I don't have a right to judge him unless and until I read his work, right? This is a story of two people, Rajveer and Lavanya. Yes, Rajveer and Lavanya, who belong to absolutely different backgrounds. Their backgrounds are worlds apart, but they come together, fall in love, and this is their love story. Clearly it's a love story, but sometimes you are in a mood for normal, cliche, sweet, comforting love stories, and I think that this is going to be one of them. The next book is Tell Me a Story by Rupa Bajwa. This is the story of Rani, who lives with a family who loves telling stories to her nephews, but she is quite frustrated by the taunts that she gets from her family. She decides to leave everything behind. She moves to Delhi, and this is a story of a woman who tries to cope up in a completely new, different atmosphere, who is completely alone. Life actually confronts her. And I love these kind of stories where people leave everything behind, they start life anew, and they emerge to be stronger than what they were. And I think this is going to be that sort of a story. So again, I'm pretty excited to read this. The next book is Story of a Widow by Musharraf Ali Faruqi. This is the only book by a Pakistani author on my list. And the plastic is still on. I haven't even removed the plastic. Again, Bookchore is the best at delivering good quality stuff. This clearly is the story of a widow and how she copes up with life, and as far as I know, this is going to be the love story of a widow. I don't know why, but this book particularly has fascinated me a lot, and I don't even want to dig into the blurb. I just don't want to read anything, any background about this book. I just want to go into it with no expectations, no presumptions. I just want to get into it with an empty mind, and that is the reason I did not even remove the plastic to skim through the pages. I just want to explore it with a blank, empty mind. The next book is Relapse by Shrikant Verma. This is the story of a man who gets in touch with his ex-lover Bindu. They start meeting again, they get in touch, they meet frequently, constantly, and this is the relapse of their love story. But as far as I know, this is not going to be a cheesy, cliche second chance for love sort of a story. This is going to be much more than that, about ego, about jealousy, about agony, and much more, and I need to discover it. It is pretty thin, and I'm going to complete it pretty quickly. The font too is quite large. This too has seemed pretty interesting and intriguing to me, and the cover and the blurb sort of just hypnotized me and forced me into buying this book. The next book is Stillborn Season by Radhika Oberoi. This is the story of Delhi in the 1980s, revolving around the Sikh community, the things that they had faced, the riots that had taken place, as far as I know, the violence that they had faced. So this novel is centered around that. This is all that I know about the blurb, but the cover actually had fascinated me a lot more than the blurb, and to be very honest, that was the chief reason why I picked this book up. The cover. Yes, I am the kind of a person who literally judges the book by its cover many a times. The next book is At the End of the Century by Ruth Pravat Chhapwala. If I'm not mistaken, this is a short story collection, if I'm not mistaken. But the blurb says that this book explains the connection between India and the Western countries. That was enough to attract my attention. Again, I don't know why, maybe the cover, maybe the unusual name is the reason behind that, but I just don't feel like exploring the blurb. I just don't feel like exploring it. I want to go into this with an empty mind, with no expectations. I am sure, I don't know why, that this book is going to be fascinating, but still I don't want to explore the book blurb. I'm sorry, if that makes any sense. But in spite of everything else, I'm quite excited to read this. I really am. The next book is Sonia Ji by Shobha De. Again, a wonderful, beautiful, colorful, lovely cover. This is a story of Shrila, who after a heartbreak is forcefully married off. She belongs to a Marwadi family originally. She confronts life after life confronts her, and she grows up, she emerges as a powerful, strong woman. And I love these kind of stories. I genuinely do. So I just picked this book up based upon the blurb, and I was sure that I'm going to love it. The next book is The Crying Tree by Naseem Rakha. Yes. This is a story of a woman whose 15-year-old son is murdered. The accused is arrested, the woman is shattered, but there is a secret that the mother knows about her son that she is yet to reveal. What is that secret is the question that will be answered after I read this book and after you read this book. This again is quite an old copy. The spine is cracked. The cover also seems to be pretty old, but again, I don't mind that. As far as the book is in good readable condition, and as far as the story is good, the content is good, I do not mind the condition of the book. It is fine. It is absolutely fine. The next book is Mothers, Lovers and Other Strangers by Bhaichand Patel. Again, a very beautiful, fascinating, shiny cover. This is a story of Ravi, whose mother abandons him with his disease-stricken father. How Ravi grows up after this abandonment, how he confronts life, that is what we need to find out. Again, the cover fascinated me a lot, and the blurb too seemed pretty interesting. That is the reason I picked this book up. The next book is Living Hell by Vivan Shah. This is a story of Nadeem, whose life turns upside down when he finds another tenant of his landlord murdered in the tenant's own bathroom. Tenant's own house. This to me seemed to be a pretty good thriller, murder mystery sort of a thing. The cover too gave those sort of vibes, and that is the reason I picked this book up. I am a hopeless thriller lover. You give me a thriller, you give me a murder mystery, and I'm up for it. So that was the reason I decided to pick this up. The next book is The New Market Tales by Jan Kriplani. This is a story of the transformation of Calcutta from a rich, glorious city to something quite different that came into existence after the new market came into existence. The blurb says that Jan Kriplani has the power to make you nostalgic with his words. Everyone who has known Calcutta before the 1970s will be nostalgic after reading this book. Again, I don't know what to expect, but this seemed to be pretty different from whatever I have read till date. I don't know a lot about Calcutta, but if you do, then this can become your go-to book. I will read this and get back to you pretty soon. The next book is Seeing Red by Leena Merwan. This is the story of a patient who suffered eye hemorrhage. How she lived with it, what were her experiences, and how she coped up with it. Again, this seems to be pretty dark. I was not even aware that something called as eye hemorrhage even exists, and how scary it seems to be, how negative it seems to be, how dark it seems to be, and how dark the world of such a patient will be. The eyes of this woman start flooding at a certain point of time and with blood, and that is the reason this book is titled as Seeing Red. And in spite of being dark and scary, it seemed pretty interesting to me. Let's see. The next book is One Indian Girl by Chetan Bhagat. Again, the plastic of the book is still on. There are two groups among readers. One is the one who loves Chetan Bhagat. The another one is the one that hates him. I belong to neither. I have liked few of his books. Two States is one of my favorite books, believe it or not. And like other Indian readers, I began my reading journey by reading the books by Chetan Bhagat. So I am indebted to him in a certain way. And I just wanted to pick up another book by him. I have read One Night at the Call Center. I have read The Half Girlfriend. That I did not like as much. But Two States is one book that I have really liked. The drama quotient of the book is high, and I pick it up whenever I feel like reading something dramatic. I wanted to read another book by Chetan Bhagat. This was readily available, and that is why I picked it up. The next book is a book that was on my list since a long time, My Sister's Keeper by Jodie Picoult. I had heard about this book quite a lot of months ago, and I have been wanting to buy this and read this since then. This is a story where the younger sister is given birth to so that she can help her elder sister fight leukemia, that is cancer. How parents take away things from the body of the younger sister to keep her elder sister alive. The topics seem to be pretty different, pretty dark, and pretty fascinating, and that is why this book was on my wish list since a long time, and I was happier than ever to have spotted it on the bookshelf at the book fair. The next book again was on my wish list since a long time, The Hidden Hindu by Akshat Gupta. I know that this is a series, but this is the first part, and I wanted it since a long time. This is a story of Prithvi, a 21-year-old who sets out to find an Aghori. Aghori. How do you use the articles with code mixing? Who sets to find out Om Shastri, who is Aghori, and this story revolves around that. The plot seems to be very interesting, and I love the stories that have Aghoris and supernatural elements and the references from ancient Hindu texts and Hindu mythology and Hindu history. I just love such kind of books, and if I love this book, then I would be buying the next parts of the series pretty soon. Let's see. The next and the last book of the haul was actually the best part of my visit to the book fair. I just felt as if it's worth it. Coming here was worth it. The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. I have been wanting this book since the longest time. I just cannot define my delight at this point of time. I actually have this book. From whatever I know, the writing style of this book is fascinating. The metaphors are great, and this book is Indian in the true sense of its words. Again, I just don't want to go through the blur. I just want to dig in. I just want to go into it with an empty mind so that I can appreciate it in the best way possible.